Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today, or at least tonight, because it's a bit late now, we're going to have just a little chat about the idea of concept armies, and essentially whether you should even give a damn what other people think about the way you're painting your models, the colour scheme you have chosen. And this is largely prompted because there's been a few different conversations I've seen crop up on Twitter and various other places, Discord and Facebook as well, although admittedly the Facebook one wasn't great, funnily enough, talking about concept armies. And there seems to be a slowly creeping dislike of the idea of concept armies, or the execution of concept armies. Now, when I say concept armies, I'm talking things like a force of Space Marines that are all ghosts, for instance. In fact, there's a very good Grey Knight army that was done, I don't know how many years ago, which was... can't remember the name of the character. There was a character that I believe was some sort of ghost-type thing for the Grey Knights, and the entire army was painted to reflect that character, summoning entire units of Grey Knights. It was actually quite well done. I'll see if I can find pictures of it and put a link in the description, if I can. I'm not talking, when I say ghosts, of course, Nighthaunt, like actual ghosts, like this chap here. I'm talking any army. Any army at all, painted to look ethereal. Another good example are those armies that are painted to look almost entirely frozen or frostbitten or kind of snow-coloured. I'm talking armies that are painted to look like statues, that kind of thing. The concept army is something that's been around for quite a long time, and for the most part, I think has been generally accepted, but for whatever reason in the last week, there's been a strange kind of uprising of no, this is not acceptable, you cannot do this. And I kind of think that's bollocks, to be totally honest with you, for a couple of reasons. The first is one that we've talked about before. The first is one that we've spoken of, I think, quite a few times at this point, which is that when you paint an army, you are painting it for yourself. You're not painting it for anyone else. No one has the definitive rulebook on how you should paint and what you should paint your units. If you want to make an army that looks like an army of statues, then you can. It's your army, it's your paint, it's your time, and as such you get to choose what to do with it. It's the same thing with painting an army of ghosts or of fiery dudes, whatever floats your boat. You've paid for all the materials and it's your time and effort that's going to be going into it, so you get to make the choice. That should be the end of it, really. There is talk of people who won't play against concept armies, which I guess is one step above... No. One step above? One step below? I'm not really sure how to phrase that. One step removed, shall we say, from the refusal to play against people who have got just bare plastic armies. I will say that playing against unpainted armies is not as fun as playing against painted armies. I couldn't tell you why that is. I think it's probably just because it's slightly more immersive, if you wish to use that word. It's slightly more interesting, and let's be honest, a painted army, for the most part, looks better than a bare plastic army. But the thing is there anything actually wrong with concept armies to begin with? Ignoring the fact that it's your stuff, you paid for it, and you can do whatever the fuck you like with it, is there anything actually wrong with it to begin with? Is it somehow lazier? Is it somehow, less effort, less imagination than sitting down and doing something that's, completely full of detail? Possibly. Time-wise, it might be. In terms of just layers put down, in terms of details painstakingly filled in, possibly. It is quicker, and possibly it does require less effort. But there is still effort and vision and drive to be found in creating an entire force in a specific style. It goes back to that thing of the only person who can devalue your work is yourself. Other people don't devalue what you do. So if you are someone who loves sitting there and getting all those details down, absolutely stunning, fine attention to detail, your time hasn't been wasted by the fact that someone else wanted to make their Space Marines look like an army of statues. I mean, they've painted it. They've taken the time. They've taken the effort. Sure, the paint scheme might not be as complicated as yours, but if you wanted to do something simpler, you could have done. If you wanted to do something that didn't require such painstaking attention to detail, such intense focus, you could have done. That decision is entirely in your hands. It's not in anyone else's. Concept armies, additionally, look pretty good for the most part. The ones that are pulled off well, and even the ones that are perhaps approached by people who are not quite as skilled or knowledgeable as those who go for the intensely fine detail approach, tend to look pretty solid. I mean, once you've got your technique down, you can then replicate that technique across the entire force, and even if it's not a paint scheme that you personally would go for, I think it's still possible to appreciate a unified force with a unified scheme on the tabletop. I mean, I've played against armies where I've looked at it and gone, I wouldn't have painted them that colour. But they're painted, and to be honest, they look pretty good. You don't have to want to paint something to appreciate that someone else has done it, if you get what I mean. Again, it's that thing of, it's their stuff, it's their time, it's their choice, and even if you wouldn't make that choice personally, at the very least, you can appreciate the time and effort they've put in because you put in similar time and effort to your own models. And it's still better than bare plastic anyway, let's be honest. Even if you're not a fan of the Army of Ghost Space Marines, for instance, what would you prefer, the Army of Ghost Space Marines or the Army of fresh off the sprue, not a lick of paint on them Space Marines? I mean, I can tell you which one I would prefer, and it's the one that didn't look like it's just come straight off the sprue, funnily enough. There is also an additional side to concept armies that I don't know is entirely appreciated, which is that for some people, that style of painting is the only style of painting that they can do. There are those who physically are incapable of doing, that fine detail work, that painstaking, every single gem has got the right effect on it, all the lenses are done just so. Some people aren't capable of that, and that's not even me doing a kind of, you're just not good enough. I'm talking actual physical issues that prevent that from being done. I mean, I know someone who has fairly severe arthritis for their age. They're only 37 at this point, and they struggle to paint, as you would do when your wrists, your knuckles are swollen to 2 times their size. How do you get that fine detail at that point? How do you sit there and painstakingly fill in every single tiny gap on your model? It's not easy. It's borderline impossible. They've increasingly swayed towards paint jobs that are relatively simple to everyone else, but still require effort and energy for them. I mean, one of the things that I'd try and get pictures, actually. I'll try and get pictures at some point and throw them all over Twitter, because the Army's great. They got a bunch of Space Marines off eBay and stripped them, base coated them black, and then didn't know what to do. And then they had an idea. Essentially, the picture of the guy on the Battlefield video game covers, or the guys, however many of them there are at this point, they're walking straight ahead, and there's usually a huge flare on one side, like an explosion, and one side of the body is orange and red, all the colours of fire. They decided to do something similar to that. They gave the models a dry brush on one side, well, a couple of layers of dry brush, so the black popped nicely, all the raised edges were picked out, and then on the other side, they did orange, and they did yellow, and they did red, and it looks like the entire force is just lit by something massive happening on the right side of the army. That took significant effort for them. That took time, that took energy, that took as much time as it would take me to paint an army of my own with more detail, because they have a built-in problem with doing it any other way. Their joints don't allow them to do it any other way. And there's plenty of other issues like that. It's not just arthritis. There are plenty of issues that affect mobility, that affect, how well you can grip, that affect stability of the hand. Hell, my detailed painting is generally terrible because on a not good day, my hands shake badly. I don't know why they shake. I've yet to find a reason for it. I don't have any pain or anything, but I do not have steady hands. It's nowhere near the severity of people with actual, illnesses, but it's still an issue. And there are plenty of people who have that exact same issue, if not far worse. For those people, things like concept armies are a godsend, because you can get an entirely unified, completely painted force where every model has had time and care and effort placed into it. And yeah, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but that doesn't make it not worth doing, and that doesn't mean that it should be looked upon as some sort of cheat or as some sort of, method of getting out of painting properly, whatever painting properly even means. That is a phrase that I've genuinely seen thrown around, and it baffles me, because what is painting properly? Where's the book? Show me the rule book and I'll work out for you what painting properly is. In fact, I won't need to. It'll be in the rule book that doesn't exist. At the end of the day, even if it's not because you're not able to paint anything else, even if it's because you just want a concept army, you just want to do an army of ghosts, you want to do an army of fiery guys, you want to do an army that looks like it's been lost in the tundra for God knows how long, covered in snow, just blue and white, just that style of army. Regardless of whether you could paint something different or not, it doesn't matter. If you're happy with that idea, if you're happy with wanting to do that, then do it. It all boils down to a very simple thing, which is that you are painting for yourself. With the exception of entering competitions, the only person you need to please is you. So if you want to do something like that, there should be no issue, because everyone makes that choice, and your personal choice does not impact what other people want to do. Your personal time investment does not impact other people's personal time investment. The only person who can devalue what you've done is yourself, because you're the one applying the rules to the models. But you only get to apply the rules to your own models. You don't get to apply them to anyone else. Concept armies as a thing have a place in the hobby, just like any other thing in the hobby. Now, any type of painting has a place somewhere, any level of detail, any idea, any paint scheme. It all has a place because it's all what the person who owns that stuff wants to do. There is no grand arbiter of paint jobs. There is no supreme king of what you should and should not do with a Space Marine model when it comes to painting. It's entirely up to the person doing it. And so the idea that concept armies are somehow lesser, that they're lazy, that they're not, they don't have the requisite amount of effort placed into them, that they're no better than playing against bare plastic, it's bullshit, isn't it? Because it is better than playing against bare plastic. It is still something that requires time, that requires effort, that requires vision, that requires practice. It still takes all of those things. The only reason to be pissy about it is if that person has done it and you've done something that took longer. And the only reason you're being pissy about that is because you have devalued your own efforts, not them. Anyway, that was, again, I'm so rambly at the moment. Just a little ramble about the idea of concept armies and who you actually paint for when you paint, which is yourself. It's always yourself. Remember that. So, thank you very much for watching. If you fancied supporting the channel due to the current ad wasteland that is this godforsaken platform, I like that phrase, godforsaken platform, I think I've used it about 4 times in the last 2 days, then there is a link to my Patreon in the description down below, which you can click if you want to. You don't have to. I'm not forcing you. I'm not your mum. There is also a link for Element Games. It's an affiliate link, which means if you go to Element Games using that link and buy stuff, I get a little something for it. You didn't get charged any extra. In fact, Element Game stuff retails 15 to 25% cheaper than buying it from the actual company itself. So like Games Workshop stuff is cheaper at Element. That kind of thing. You can click that if you like. That is a completely, like, I say free. It depends on what you buy. Paints, 4 Bane Blades, whatever you fancy. Using that link does help me out a little bit. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of all of that stuff in the comments down below, whether you agree, whether you disagree, whether you've tried doing a concept army yourself, for instance. Be interested to see if any of you guys have done that particular style of force. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things. Patreon, video, subscribe, all of that stuff. Click it if you like. Don't click it if you don't want to. And I will see you tomorrow, which is about 20 minutes away. Toodaloo.